What's going on, everybody? Blake Chancey here, checking in from South Delta. Today we're going to be asking a question that every Canadian has rattling around in their head right now. Should you buy a home in 2026 or should you wait? And I want to open to something a little bit uncomfortable today. What if the dream we're all sold about homeownership wasn't built for us? What if it was designed to create lifelong customers instead of lifelong stability? Because here's the reality. In 2025, more Canadian seniors bought homes than Millennials and Gen Z combined. And the young people, they're pissed, and rightfully so. You were told, get a good job, keep your head down, save 10%, buy a home, and retire comfortably. But that playbook is not just outdated, it's dangerous in today's market. So by the end of this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I'd buy a home in 2026 in Canada. And that's without needing to be rich and without playing the same game everybody else seems to be stuck in. So let's get into it. Part 1, the homeownership dream was a sales campaign. Here's the truth that nobody says out loud. The dream of homeownership, the one tied to status, success, and stability, was a marketing campaign that we were pitched growing up. Built by banks, pushed by politicians, and backed by mortgage lenders. And this is in Canada even more so than other countries. CMHC, the big banks, and multiple federal governments built their political careers on expanding homeownership. Why? Because if everybody believes the finish line is owning a home, you've created 40 million predictable customers. You pay the mortgage, you pay CMHC insurance, you pay property tax, you upgrade the kitchen because an HGTV host yelled at you, and you die with equity. Meanwhile, what wealthy Canadians are doing, they don't play that game. They buy income, not liabilities. And people always say, but Blake, real estate always goes up in Canada. Does it? If that were true, billionaires would only buy houses, but they don't. They buy businesses, they buy equities, they buy cash flowing producing assets. Every Canadian sees prices rising, but behind the scenes, there's a lot you don't see. Cheap lending inflates prices. Developers use incentive to make numbers look higher and better than they are. Rate buy-downs mask true ownership costs, and pre-sale pricing hides concessions. It's a lot of smoke and mirrors. Part 2, the middle class buys homes, the wealthy buys cash flow. Here's the stat that punches people right in the gut. If your net worth is under $1 million, your biggest assets are usually your home and your car. That sounds good until you realize this. You're asset rich but cash poor. Your wealth is locked behind walls you can't touch unless you borrow. That's not freedom, that's refined debt. Now compare that with someone worth $10 million. Their biggest asset class isn't a house. It's private businesses and income producing assets, so think about that. The middle class fights tooth and nail to buy a home. The wealthy buy income streams that pay for the home. Wealth doesn't come from grinding harder. It comes from owning things that grow while you sleep. But most Canadians spend their lives buying liabilities dressed up as milestones. A car that loses 30% the second that it leaves the lot. A home that bleeds you with taxes, repairs, and interest. A savings account that loses to inflation every single year. That's why it feels like you're running in a rat race. You're doing all the right things, but you're not compounding. And wealth requires time, ownership, and compounding interest. Most people quit right before the curve bends. Part 3, real estate as an investment. Does it hold up in Canada? Let's talk data. Over the last 20 years, Canadian real estate performed extremely well. No question about it. But the stock market still outpaced it by 2 or 3 times in many periods. Put $100,000 into an index fund, you might be sitting at $350,000 plus today. Put that same money into home equity, you might be closer to $180,000 or $220,000. Now, Canadians always say, Blake, I want to own a rental property. Okay, let's play that out. You buy a $700,000 investment condo in Vancouver or Toronto. You got mortgage, strata fees, insurance, repair, vacancies, and taxes. Your net cash flow, maybe $200 to $300 a month, and that's if you're lucky. That's a 2 to 3% return on a massive risk. Now, compare that to a simple, small, boring small business. Lawn care, cleaning, property service, dog grooming, same capital, same risk, but now you're generating $50,000 to $100,000 a year in cash flow. This is what wealthy Canadians do. They buy cash flow first and home second. There's a huge person in the States, Grant Cardone, he really emphasizes this all the time. He rents out a lot of his own properties that he lives in. Part 4, passive income is a lie. You need to pick your hard. Real estate is not passive. Repairs, tenants, regulations, 3 a.m. emergencies for floods or whatever, and surprise assessments. Business isn't passive either, of course. There's hiring, firing, selling, learning, grinding, all that. But one of them gives you slow equity, minimal cash flow, and high maintenance. The other It gives you cash flow, skills, leverage, and scale. Everything is hard, so you got to pick your hard. You just pick the kind of hard that actually moves you forward. Part 5. The biggest risk Canadians take is not taking risk. Most people spend their lives managing downside instead of building the upside. Bill Perkins said it perfectly. The biggest risk most people take is not taking enough risk to live the life that they want. Wealthy Canadians don't gamble, they negotiate, they structure, and they engineer the outcomes that they're looking for, and you can do the same. Part 6. If you still want to buy a home in 2026, here's some things that I'd be looking at. I'd be looking at trying to buy a duplex or a house that has 2 living spaces, upstairs and downstairs. This way you can go and live in the downstairs or upstairs suite, rent out the other. I also think this is a great opportunity to find somebody else that's trying to get into the housing market. If you two pool your money together, you can get into the detached market. One can live upstairs, one can live down. Or if you can find an affordable duplex, one can live on one side, one can live on the other. Listen, your first property isn't going to be in your dream home. We need to forget about that. It takes time to build your way up the real estate ladder. I think another great option is that if you rent out rooms in your house, everybody knows somebody that needs somewhere to live. So why not maximize on that? Have somebody that you trust and live in the same property as you. They're paying down your mortgage. You have somebody that's responsible and will take care of your property if you're not there. I think it's a fantastic solution to a lot of people's problems. And no matter what, you have to live within your means. You come up with a budget and just stick to it. A lot of people think that Airbnb is completely banned from British Columbia, but that's not the case either. You could have a room that you rent out on Airbnb. If it's your primary residence, you're still allowed to have Airbnb in that property no matter where you live in British Columbia. Part 7. What I would do if you had a few extra $100,000 sitting around. I know that's ridiculous to say, but here's what I would do. I would probably buy a very, very boring business that's for sale, a service business with existing customers, predictable revenue, seller financing, and strong cash flow. Then I'd use the business income to pay for my house. This way is what the wealthy do time in again and again. It's not complicated. It's just not taught. So stop playing the game banks designed for you. Build your own game. Listen, I don't hate real estate. I actually love it. I'm a realtor. I help buy and sell homes every single day for clients, but I hate watching smart Canadians get trapped in a system that just wasn't built for them. You weren't born to be a mortgage payment. You don't need permission to build wealth. You don't need to wait for the market, and you don't need to follow the old playbook. I want to help people build wealth. It is my ultimate goal in life to help as many people as I can, whether that's in real estate or with their personal goals. This channel is about turning Canadians from house poor to business savvy people, from dreamers to deal makers, from frustrated to financially free. So let's build something together. I hope you enjoyed this. I'm going to come out with a lot more content around this stuff here, guys. I'm Blake Chancey with Real Broker. It means the world to me if you hit that like and subscribe. I'll see you on the next one.